So there are some shitty rivalry in WWE like this. Then there are rivalries like this. But today I'm going to focus on positives. Today I'm going to start a series where I talk about my favorite wrestlers' greatest rivalries and rivals. So today we are going to start with John Cena. Now this is going to be a lengthy video, so please grab some popcorn and some chips and enjoy. Number 5. The Rock. The Rock's return. It was the year 2011 where Harry Potter ended, and I'm a big fan of it, and my uncle said in UK people cried about it, and Kim Kardashian had a divorce, and The Rock came back in the time of Super Cena where Cena beat anyone and everyone. Now it was only till time where Cena and The Rock would come across because of The Rock's big ego. Now in Elimination Chamber 2011, John Cena won a WWE Championship opportunity against The Miz, and at WrestleMania 27 where The Rock was the host of the event, and as always, Rock took an interest in the main event picture, as he publicly mocked both Cena and The Miz, and then Cena also did the rap on him where he dissed The Rock about his Tooth Fairy movie and called The Rock out on leaving WWE for Hollywood. Oh, how WWE Dean Ambrose said this so true.
What goes around comes back around.
And on March 28, 2011 episode of Raw, John Cena gave an AA to The Rock, solidifying what's to come at WrestleMania 27. Then it was sure shot that The Rock was going to do something in the main event. So at WrestleMania 27, where the theme songs were written in the stars, it was also time for the WWE Championship match between John Cena and The Miz, and believe it or not, it was the main event for WrestleMania 27. During the match, Cena delivered a 5-knuckle shuffle to The Miz, and he also attempted an attitude adjustment, but The Miz countered with a DDT. There was a lot of back and forth action until The Miz executed the skull crushing finale, and Cena also executed another attitude adjustment on Miz, and both for a near falls. Both men fought outside of the ring and knocked each other out in the process and were counted out. The Rock came out to intervene when a message from the anonymous Raw general manager arrived. Yeah, that was a thing in 2011. You wouldn't believe me even if I said to you who was handling it. The Rock went to read it but then disregarded it and restarted the match under no disqualification, no countout and no time limit stipulation. Cena dragged The Miz back inside the ring and attempted an attitude adjustment. The Rock stalked Cena from behind and performed a rock bottom on him, in vengeance for the attitude adjustment 6 nights prior. Taking advantage, The Miz then pinned Cena for the win, retaining the WWE Championship. Can you believe it?
Can you believe that? Can you believe we don't have a jacuzzi?
Super Cena lost at Mania to Miz. No offense to Miz, but nobody saw that coming. After the match, The Rock had a stare down with The Miz until Rock delivered a spine buster and people's elbow. WrestleMania 27 went off the air as The Rock posing on the top of the turnbuckles for the fans. Once in a lifetime. Then the night after WrestleMania, something happened that hasn't happened since and might ever actually happen. John Cena and The Rock made their WrestleMania match official. A year will once again cross with each other before their official match at WrestleMania 28. It would happen at Survivor Series 2011. The main event involved John Cena and The Rock, yes, teaming together. You heard that right. Teaming up against the Awesome Truth, which is The Miz and R-Truth. After losing to Alberto Del Rio the previous month at Vengeance due to interference by The Miz and R-Truth, John Cena decided to face them both with Zack Ryder as his partner, but Miz and R-Truth ambushed Ryder before the match, in which they beat Cena down. So former general manager John Laurinaitis booked Cena with a match against The Miz and Truth at Survivor Series with a partner of his own choice. Cena could have picked anyone, but he decided to pick his WrestleMania 28 opponent, The Rock. As his partner, the team billed as the most charismatic team of all time. The Rock accepted his offer. The following week after the match was over, The Rock performed a rock bottom on Cena to tell him who was the boss in WWE. No pun intended. So it was finally time for 2012, the year where everyone thought that the world was gonna end, and even the movie was made on it, and the Avengers was ruling on the box office. And it was also time for the once in a lifetime match where John Cena would square off against The Rock, and which was considered one of the greatest WrestleManias also. So on February 20 edition of Raw, John Cena made a promo on Rock stating that he has legitimate beef with him and he doesn't like Rock. It was no secret backstage and to the people that these two didn't like each other at all. Then Cena also made a remark about how The Rock writes his promos on his wrist, which legitimately pissed off The Rock. You could clearly see in his face that he wants to rip out Cena's heart. Then on the day of WrestleMania 28, where you can hear voices in your ear, no Randy, we are not talking about it, we will get to you later. Time for WrestleMania 28. Now I wasn't a fan at that time, but man, everybody knew about this match. Everybody knew that The Rock and John Cena were squaring off against each other. I watched this on my TV because it was that big. Now in this match, Cena and Rock viciously went back and forth with each other throughout the match. During the course of the match, The Rock kicked out of 2 attitude adjustments, Cena out of Rock bottom and People's Elbow. When Cena attempted a People's Elbow on The Rock, throwing his sweatband into the crowd in similar fashion to The Rock, he ran into another Rock bottom from The Rock, which allowed The Rock to pin Cena and pick up the win. Everyone was shocked, like how could Super Cena lose in 2 years in a row? I can still remember the Michael Cole's voice in my head. It was like, The Rock has beaten John Cena. Legacy versus redemption. In 2013, where Flappy Bird was the best game and Dodge meme had just surfaced on the internet and Vines was the Instagram, you wouldn't believe that. The year started off with the Royal Rumble pay-per-view where The Rock was challenging the WWE champion CM Punk, which he won, ending a great title reign. But as fate would have it, in the same night, John Cena won the Royal Rumble match for the second time in his career, and you can guess, he chose The Rock. And on March 4th, on a retro episode of Monday Night Raw, John Cena made it very clear that it was more than just a match for him. It was a shot at redemption. The Rock also said that Cena thinks he can beat him, but The Rock knows he can beat John Cena. So WrestleMania 29 finally came along and it was time for The Rock versus John Cena. Now this match will go on for a long time. Both would throw everything they had at each other. Cena tried a crossface, he tried STFU, then Rock had a rock bottom on Cena, but in the end, when The Rock went for his 4th rock bottom, Cena countered it into his 3rd attitude adjustment and won the WWE Championship for the 13th time in his career and finally beat The Rock at WrestleMania 29. After the match, The Rock and Cena shook hands and hugged each other, and Rock praised Cena as the new WWE Champion and raised his hand at the top of the stage. Now this wasn't the end to their rivalry, as the two would meet again at WrestleMania 32, where Cena would help The Rock against the Wyatt family, and they would also meet at WrestleMania 40 when Cena and Rock would have a final face-off where they would be a part of the end game of the WWE storyline. Number 4. Triple H, the Cerebral Assassin versus the franchise player. It was the year of 2006 where 7th generation consoles, Xbox and PS3, had just started to enter the gaming market, and I was 2 years old at that time, and Mr. John Cena was at the peak of his career where he would go on in the main event of WrestleMania 22 to defend his WWE Championship against none other than the game, the Cerebral Assassin. Now there was a tournament for a chance to get a championship match against Cena at Mania 22, where in the tournament wrestlers like Big Show, Rob Van Dam and Triple H all took part. But in February 20 episode 2006, Triple H would go on to win a triple threat match against RVD and Big Show to go into the main event of WrestleMania. Now heading into WrestleMania 22, people started to hate John Cena. Even in the promo package, if you see right now, people would say that Cena is just a cheap knockoff of Hulk Hogan, that he didn't deserve to win a WWE Championship. Now this was pretty big for Cena because it was his first main event of WrestleMania and was against a wrestler who people rooted to win. So on the day of WrestleMania 22, where Big Time by Peter Gabriel was the theme song, it came time around for the main event where Cena defended his WWE Championship against the game. And what most people remember about this match are their entrances. Triple H came out on a throne as Conan the Barbarian, and John Cena came out as a gangster with a Tommy gun. And his entrance also involved a future rival, which we'll talk about later. So the bout was evenly matched, where Triple H gave pedigree and Cena tried the FU. Yes, it is the AA which was known by the FU. But in the end, Cena made the game submit to the STFU and retained the WWE Championship. This was a pretty big deal because this was like submitting the fact that Cena was a big deal now. Cena just defeated a WWE veteran in the main event of WrestleMania via submission. Now these two would once again meet at Night of Champions 2008, the game versus the face. Now these two would once again meet at Night of Champions 2008, where the story wasn't involved as much as the last time, but Cena would go on to beat Jeff Hardy on June 2nd episode of Raw to gain a championship opportunity. But this time the champion was Triple H. The tables were turned. 2 years later, Cena was the challenger, not the Zendaya one. But the draft also came around at that point, which made Triple H drafted to SmackDown. But it was announced that Triple H would still be defending his WWE Championship against John Cena, who was on Raw at that point of time. Night of Champions came around and both men tried to outperform each other, but in the end, Triple H hit John Cena with a pedigree and pinned him to retain his WWE Championship, making their single match pay-per-view score to be 1-1. Why I'm saying this? Because these two would meet in a pay-per-view for one last time, once again, exact decade later. Legend vs Legend. In the greatest Royal Rumble, where Cena would go on to beat Triple H, hence making it clear that Cena was the better man out of the two and ending their rivalry. Now I know there's a lot of stuff about the Authority and the Triple Threat and Fatal 4-Way matches, but this is for another videos. This was for their singles matches. With that out of their way, let's move on to the third wrestler. The beginning. CM Punk. Now everybody and their papa knows that the promo that shook the WWE to its core, the pipe bomb. This was done in the weeks leading up to what would be the greatest Money in the Bank of all time. Even Dave Meltzer gave it a 5 stars. It was John Cena vs CM Punk for the WWE Championship, where CM Punk contract was coming to an end, and it all began when Punk defeated John Cena in a non-title match on June 13th episode of Raw, where Cena was distracted by R-Truth. But on the next week edition, he also became the #1 contender for the WWE Championship while winning a triple threat match against Alberto Del Rio and Rey Mysterio. Then after the match, Punk stated that his contract would be coming to an end. Now this might be irony, but things like that always happen on my birthday. It was June 27, 2011 when CM Punk delivered the great pipe bomb. And I will tell you some of his statements where he said that John Cena was only on top because he was an ass kisser. And he also said that WWE would be better without Vince McMahon. I mean, he wasn't wrong though. And he also said, which was even relevant to till this day, he said that, and I quote, "The fact that Dwayne is in the main event of WrestleMania and I'm not makes me sick." Punk would go on to break the fourth wall and even mention other wrestling companies like Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling. My god, people get fired for attending their shows and this guy is straight up mentioning them on a live television. The balls on him. And in coming weeks, Vince also tried his best to make Punk sign a contract, but he failed at that. You know what was the cherry on top? That a Money in the Bank was happening in CM Punk's hometown, Chicago. The feel was there, McMahon was trying to get himself involved in the match, and if he said Cena lost, he would be fired. Then the match was on. Now both wrestlers were 30 minutes into the match, evenly matched, where Mr. McMahon came out with John Laurinaitis and they tried to distract CM Punk, which Cena took advantage of, and Mr. McMahon signaled the referee to do the same like Montreal Screwjob. But then Cena, being the Captain America he is, he broke the hold and told Mr. McMahon he was doing things in his own way. This gave Punk an opening and he capitalized on it and hit Cena with a GTS, and he went 1, 2, 3. And just like that, Punk defeated John Cena in his hometown and completed his promise of walking out the WWE as a champion. And Alberto Del Rio tried to cash in, but he wasn't successful. This pose would later on go on to become a legendary photo, and even a cricket team known as KKR tried to copy it. The Undisputed Champion. Then on the following night on Raw, WWE didn't had any WWE champion. So Mr. McMahon made an 8-man tournament to crown the new WWE champion, and on the same night, Triple H relieved McMahon of his duties. Oh, how we all wished it happened earlier. And he became the COO of WWE on July 25th episode of Raw. Rey Mysterio won the whole tournament and became the WWE champion. Like, finally, think a big moment for the underdog. But just then, Cena came in and swooped in and cashed in his rematch for the WWE Championship and beat Rey Mysterio. Well, the night wasn't over yet because the song Cult of Personality started playing and out came CM Punk with his WWE Championship, which he wanted, Money in the Bank. Now there were 2 WWE champions at that point of time and Triple H was having none of that. Triple H said that he would make sure that at SummerSlam they both would have a unification match to make sure nothing goes wrong. He went a guest referee for the match, but oh boy, things went wrong. When SummerSlam came along with the theme of CeeLo Green, Bright Lights Big City, the pay-per-view was being held in LA, California, and it was time for the main event. In the match, Cena executed the attitude adjustment for a near fall. Punk also performed his finisher GTS on Cena for a near fall. Punk then executed another GTS to win the title, but John Cena's foot was on the bottom rope. Triple H didn't acknowledge that, and as the referee's decision is the final decision, CM Punk got a second O victory in his rivalry. As Punk celebrated his WWE Championship victory, Kevin Nash returned and attacked Punk with a jackknife powerbomb. Immediately afterwards, Alberto Del Rio capitalized on it and cashed in his Money in the Bank contract. Del Rio performed a step-up enziguri on Punk to win the WWE Championship. Man, it was the night of errors. A week later after that, on August 22nd episode of Raw, Cena and Punk would fight again, this time for a chance at Alberto Del Rio's WWE Championship, where John Cena would beat CM Punk. I am not gonna count this victory in a pay-per-view section, but these two would not cross their paths after Hell in a Cell. But Cena would go on to continue his feud with The Rock, and Punk would go on to win the WWE Championship against Alberto Del Rio and had a legendary title reign. Money in the Bank cash-in. You wouldn't believe this in a bizarre turn of events. If you're hearing this for the first time, trust me. In 2012 Money in the Bank, John Cena would go on to win the contract. Yes, he was already a 12-time WWE champion at that point of time. He would win the Money in the Bank contract, and CM Punk was still the WWE champion at that point. And Monday Night Raw 1000 episode was coming. So Cena announced his cash-in on CM Punk, and this Money in the Bank cash-in was completely wasted by a disqualification which was done by Big Show. And this in my list, even if John Cena is my favorite wrestler of all time, this is one of the lowest points of the Money in the Bank briefcase. But Cena would later go on to get his singles rematch, and now remember, it's their third time meeting on a pay-per-view at Night of Champions 2012. The theme song was Champions by Kevin Rudolph, and in the main event, John Cena was facing CM Punk accompanied by Paul Heyman. Yes, Paul Heyman would have joined forces with CM Punk at this point, as CM Punk was Paul Heyman guy. Now let's talk about how we got here. Now after the Big Show interference, they would have a triple threat match at SummerSlam 2012, in which CM Punk would retain his WWE Championship, and in the following night on Raw, Punk was granted the right to choose his challenger at Night of Champions. He announced that he would face John Cena on one condition, that he would admit on live television that Punk was the best in the world, but Cena refused. Of course he refused, he's the Captain America. Captain America would never say Hail Hydra. And the following week, Raw General Manager AJ Lee announced that Punk would defend the title against Cena at the Night of Champions pay-per-view. So finally, September 16 came around and Cena had an opportunity to beat CM Punk on a pay-per-view. It's his third opportunity. Will he prevail? Will he succeed? No, he didn't. The match ended in a draw because Cena executed a bridgeman suplex off the top rope and pinned Punk, and 1, 2, 3. Bell rang and Cena thought he won the match, but it looked like a double pin. So CM Punk still retained his WWE Championship, and Cena was still 0-2 against Punk on a pay-per-view. Now this would have been their final match, not on a pay-per-view. On an episode of Monday Night Raw, where CM Punk stated that he deserved to be in the main event of WrestleMania 29, Cena, being a huge Captain America fan, granted him a chance that if CM Punk wins, he gets his WrestleMania 29 match against The Rock, which we previously talked about in the video. But in this match, Cena would go on to defeat CM Punk, and he would go on to WrestleMania 29 to face The Rock, and CM Punk would go on to battle The Undertaker. These two aren't bitter rivals right now because they both were present in Cody's celebration at WrestleMania 40, but CM Punk would always be one of the John Cena's greatest rivals of all time. Number 2, Edge, the Opportunist versus the franchise player. The rated R superstar. This rivalry had everything. It had Edge slapping Cena's father, it had a live celebration, and it had what fans love the most, drama. It all began when John Cena was defending his WWE Championship inside the Elimination Chamber in New Year's Revolution 2006. And as Super Cena always does, he retained his WWE Championship inside the chamber, but he was battered and bruised. And just when you think that nothing bad can happen, Edge came out and cashed in his first ever Money in the Bank contract, and with 2 spears, he defeated John Cena to become the WWE Champion. And from what I heard, people in the locker room were very happy with this because they thought Cena could be beaten and Edge became a mega star overnight. The next night on Raw, Edge would go on to have one of the biggest moments in history of television, and he would have a live sex celebration with Lita, and this was interrupted by John Cena, who would deliver an FU on Lita and would also cash in his rematch for the WWE Championship at Royal Rumble 2006. So this was one of very few times where the Royal Rumble wasn't in the main event, and even Cena wasn't in the main event at that point. The main event was between Kurt Angle and Mark Henry.
Whatever.
Cena and Edge match was the 5th match on the card, and during the final moments of the match, John Cena was arguing with Lita, so Edge tried to attack him but mistakenly attacked Lita. Cena saw an opening and gave him an FU, and then he made Edge submit to the STFU. Edge would go on to get 2 rematches after this on Monday Night Raw, but he would lose both of those matches, and one with disqualification and another one because of Mick Foley. Now these two wouldn't meet until the summer of 2006 where Edge was the WWE champion and John Cena challenged for the WWE championship. The Rated R superstar versus the face of the WWE. Yes, I discovered this beautiful song when I got to know that this was the theme for 2006 SummerSlam where Edge and Cena would once again meet each other. Whereas in this time, Edge was the WWE champion and Cena was the challenger. So let's begin how we got here. Back when Cena lost the WWE championship to RVD on ECW One Night Stand with the help of Edge, they all had a triple threat match on July 3rd episode of Raw where Edge won the WWE championship. And the following week on Raw, Cena would square off against Shelton Benjamin and Edge was on commentary. And you know, things like this never go right. So Cena tried to fight Edge when he was on commentary, but Edge performed an execution and spear. And later that same night, Cena would go on to attack Edge and Lita in their hotel room. Man, that shit was crazy. This all led to a match at Saturday Night Main Event, where Cena and Edge would fight for the WWE Championship, but the match would end in a no disqualification when Lita slapped the referee and the championship cannot change out via disqualification. I don't know why heels don't do this much more often, but this was the reason a match was created for SummerSlam, where Cena and Edge would square off against each other. But this time, if Edge got disqualified, he would lose the championship. Now SummerSlam came around. Now Cena and Edge both had respective wins over each other. Now the question would be, who would come out on top? Who would win in SummerSlam? But the thing is, the ultimate opportunist always finds a way out. And he did this time too, in a match at SummerSlam where he looked at Cena would win. So Lita tried her best to let Edge win. She tried to interfere in this match, but Edge said no, as the disqualification would lead him to lose the WWE Championship. She tried to throw the steel chair, and Edge said even no to that. Then Lita handed Edge the brass knuckles, some might call it Logan Paul's bastard child. Cena tried to give Edge an FU, but Lita jumped on Edge and took the FU in thin air. And Edge, using a distraction, hit Cena with the brass knuckles and pinned him 1, 2, 3 and retained his WWE Championship at SummerSlam. So now Edge would have an upper hand on John Cena. But Cena was not going to stay silent, man, as it was Super Cena era. So the August 21st episode of Raw 2006, Lita would throw the WWE Championship in the Long Island Sound and bring out a new custom title for Edge. Later that same night, Edge would go on to face the returning superstar at that point of time, Jeff Hardy, and the match would end in a no contest as John Cena would attack Edge and maybe Cena took the title disrespect a little too far away. And Cena would throw Edge himself over the Long Island. Man, you don't get to see shit like this anymore in WWE. So next week on August 28, 2006 episode of Raw, Edge demanded Shane McMahon, who was by the way running Monday Night Raw at that point of time, to fire Cena for his actions, which is fair enough. But Cena interfered and said that he needs one more title shot at the WWE Championship, and if he loses, he would tear up his contract and sign with SmackDown for life. So Edge thought this might be a good idea, but on one condition, that Edge would decide when, where and what type of match they would both have. And later that night, Cena would beat Chris Masters and Edge would come out and hit Cena with a chair, a ladder and later put him through a table. I think you guys can already guess where this is heading. Edge told Cena that he would face him in a tables, ladders and chairs match at Unforgiven pay-per-view in Edge's hometown, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The place was set, the field was there, the match began. Now this is where the famous spot happened where Cena gave Edge an FU through 2 tables and became a 3-time WWE champion and hence making them again equal on a pay-per-view. The last man standing. Now it will be 3 years later when these two will again face each other in a singles match. The year where Kanye interrupted Taylor Swift, the year I entered the first grade, and the year where Obama became the President of the United States. It was the year of 2009. On Backlash 2009, Edge would face John Cena for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Let's start to how we got to their final pay-per-view match. At No Way Out on February 15, 2009, Edge would attack Kofi Kingston, who was supposed to compete for the Cena's World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match, but Edge replaced him at the last moment. Edge won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and later on at WrestleMania 25, Edge would defend his championship against Edge in a last man standing match at Backlash 2009. And if you want to know why Vicky said that, please comment down below, I'll make a video about it. So let's cut to the pay-per-view. This pay-per-view theme was a banger. It was Seasons by the V Reunion, and if you played a lot of SmackDown vs Raw 2011 like me, you would have saw this poster a lot of times. Now let's cut to their final match. The main event of Backlash 2009. John Cena vs Edge. This match started as a heavy brawl between the two and eventually they went outside of the ring. At one point Cena threw Edge onto the crowd with the attitude adjustment, and once they came to the stage, the match was interrupted by the Big Show, who gave Cena a chokeslam through a spotlight, which looked like it killed Cena. And Cena was unable to beat the 10 count and Edge won the World Heavyweight Championship, which meant Edge was the better man out of those two with 2-3 score and was also part of John Cena's greatest rivals of all time. Now the number one greatest John Cena rivalry would be with, it's a no-brainer, it would be Randy Orton. This rivalry was so long, Orton lost his hair and changed his theme song. This was the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar of previous generation. This was the WWE for a lot of people. Now this one is going to be a bumpy ride. Phew, let's get to it. These two would wrestle each other on episodes of Raw, but they would meet for the first time in 2007, where I-4 made a debut and one of my favorite franchise, Harry Potter, got its 5th movie, Order of the Phoenix, and Randy Orton and John Cena had their first pay-per-view match at SummerSlam 2007. Remember Jonathan Coachman? I mostly remember him from 2008 Raw vs SmackDown General Manager mode. He was the general manager at that point of time in WWE, and he decided that Randy Orton would be the new number one contender after Randy Orton gave Cena an RKO in a handicap match. In weeks leading up to SummerSlam, Randy Orton would distract Cena and give him RKOs left and right. So when SummerSlam finally came, Orton and Cena had a pretty back and forth match, but in the end Cena would kick out of an RKO and give Orton an FU to retain the WWE Championship, thus igniting their rivalry and making Cena 1-0 against Randy Orton. But the same rivalry would continue at Unforgiven, where Cena retained his championship at SummerSlam, but the next night on Raw, Orton demanded a rematch against John Cena to William Regal, which he was denied. Then he went to Vince McMahon and he said that he will give Orton a match if he proved himself. So Orton later that night would attack Cena and also attack his father. Orton would get Cena's father a punt kick in the head, and he was later granted a rematch at Unforgiven. So giving head impressed Vince McMahon. No doubt in that. So at Unforgiven, Cena was furious. He entered the ring and started beating Orton until Orton struck Cena down. Even the referee Mike Chioda tried to stop Cena from continuously punching Orton. When Cena was continually punching Orton, he was disqualified. Therefore, Orton won the match but not the title, because titles can't change hands by disqualification. As a result, John Cena retained the WWE Championship outside the ring. Cena put Orton in the STFU while Cena's father kicked Orton in the head to get the revenge. After the match, Jonathan Coachman booked Cena in a last man standing match against Orton for the WWE Championship at No Mercy. But tragedy would strike and Cena would torn his right pectoral muscle during a match against Mr. Kennedy, and the match didn't take place, so the rivalry would be on halt for a while. Time passed by and came 2008, where the Twilight movie saga came to the big screens. Beyonce and Jay-Z got married, and John Cena miraculously came back with his torn pectoral muscle in 4 months. Cena entered as number 30 surprise entered in Royal Rumble and won his Rumble for the first time, and told champion Randy Orton that he would be cashing his match at No Way Out, which was the first time in history that a WrestleMania challenger would be cashing his match before WrestleMania, and it was about to turn very bad for John Cena. At No Way Out, during the match, Orton faked an injury, and when Cena tried to check on him outside of the ring, Randy Orton RKO'd Cena and Cena was almost counted out. But Cena made it by the ring count by 9, and Orton, being frustrated, he purposefully slapped the referee, ending the match in a disqualification. Hence Orton retaining the WWE Championship and making their rivalry score 2-1. Now after WrestleMania 24, Cena went on to feud with JBL, and Randy Orton would fight Triple H in a WWE Championship rivalry. But these two will again cross paths with each other, and this time for a full-fledged classic 4 matches rivalry. And this all began at SummerSlam 2009. The Viper vs Hustle, Loyalty and Respect. On July 27th episode of Raw, the show's guest host Shaquille O'Neal revealed that Randy Orton would defend the WWE Championship against the winner of a Beat the Clock challenge match, in which the participants were Mark Henry, MVP, Triple H, Jack Swagger and John Cena. Henry set the pace by defeating Carlito in 6 minutes 49 seconds, while MVP, Triple H and Swagger failed to defeat their opponents. Cena beat Henry's time by defeating The Miz and become Orton's opponent at SummerSlam. So as SummerSlam's theme song being Aerosmith's song You Gotta Move, we get to SummerSlam 2009 and it was time for the match. The match started with neither man gaining the advantage until Orton executed an elevated DDT on Cena and Orton shoved the referee, which caused a disqualification. But this ain't no way out. Vince McMahon restarted the match with the stipulation that if Orton was disqualified, he would lose the WWE Championship. Then Orton found another way out. He got himself counted out. But Mr. McMahon again restarted the match, and this time he said that if Orton got counted out or got disqualified, he would lose the title. Orton pinned Cena using the ropes leverage, but the second referee ran down to the ring and convinced the original referee to restart the match. Man, it was a bad night for Randy Orton. Cena then applied the STF, but a Ted DiBiase came from the crowd and assaulted the referee. After he was removed from the ring, Orton gave an RKO to retain the WWE Championship, making it 2 each for both of the wrestlers. Because of Orton action, Cena was avoided a rematch by Vince McMahon as Breaking Point. And it was the name of the show, so the match was made into an I Quit match. A match that can only be won by causing the opponent to say I quit. Mr. McMahon added another stipulation: if anyone interferes in the match on Orton's behalf, like Ted DiBiase did at SummerSlam, Orton will immediately be stripped of the WWE Championship. This pay-per-view also had a banger theme. It was Still Unbroken by Lynyrd Skynyrd. And in this pay-per-view, Cena would finally make Orton say I quit by giving him an STFU by handcuffing him to the ring post. That's some weird fantasy, Cena. And with this, Cena would become a 6-time WWE champion and making his rivalry with Orton 3-2. Next night on Raw, after Breaking Point, Orton received a rematch for his WWE Championship by the guest matchmaker Trish Stratus at Hell in a Cell, and the match was also inside Hell in a Cell. On the final Raw before Hell in a Cell, Cena fought in a gauntlet match against Chris Jericho, Big Show and Randy Orton. After Cena defeated Jericho and Big Show by disqualification, Orton came out at the last minute, and however the cell began to lower as Orton tried to enter the ring. Cena tried to stop Orton from escaping. Orton almost managed to get free, but it was too late. Becoming trapped inside the cell with Cena as Orton attempted to get away, Cena blocked the door and the two brawled. Orton managed to get out and began climbing to the top of the cell as Cena chased after him. With nowhere left to run, Cena attacked Orton with an attitude adjustment on the top of the cell to close the show. Then came Hell in a Cell with the theme by Skillet, which was Monster, an epic song still to this day. And during the match at Hell in a Cell, John Cena tried to do an STF on Randy Orton, but Orton pushed him towards the referee and Cena still applied STF and Orton tapped out. But the referee was out. Then Cena went to check in on the referee as he's Captain America, and Orton took the advantage and gave him an RKO and pinned Cena, and Cena kicked out, of course, because he's also Super Cena. But by the way, Orton would again later give him a punt kick, which was done for Cena. Randy Orton won his championship, and then they tied their rivalry score to 3-3. Now these guys already faced each other on 3 continuous pay-per-views, and on October 5th episode of Raw, Cena challenged Orton for a one last rematch for the title. This time a 60-minute Iron Man match. In order to accept the challenge, Orton added 2 more conditions to the match. If Cena loses, he would leave Monday Night Raw, and the match would be anything goes. Oh boy, this would be interesting. At bragging rights, the 60-minute match began. Cena quickly forced Orton to submit to the STF, making the score 1-0. Then Orton pinned Cena after an RKO, making the score 1-1. After then, Cena attempted to perform an attitude adjustment on Orton, while Orton countered the move into an RKO, resulting in a double pinfall, making the score 2-2. Then later, Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase interfered and attacked Cena and helped get Orton a point. Kofi Kingston then emerged with a steel chair and made them retreat, and again, when the score reached 5-5 all, Orton attempted to perform a punt kick on Cena, but Cena countered the move into an STFU and forced Orton to submit, making the score 6-5. Then Cena would win his 7th WWE Championship, and well as ending the 2-year-long feud with Orton, with the score of their pay-per-view match rivalry being 4-3. Now 4 years would go by and I would enter the 4th grade in my life, and John Cena and Randy Orton became legends by now, and this time Cena would already be a 14-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and these two will once again fight each other at TLC over who was the face of the WWE. Legend Killer versus Legend. Ever since SummerSlam in August, Orton had been owing to his alliance with the Authority. After Orton's victory at Survivor Series, Cena came down to the ring with his title and celebrated with the crowd as the Authority looked on. Much to Orton's dismay, the next night on the November 25th episode of Raw, after another confrontation between the two, Triple H announced that Orton would face Cena in a tables, ladders and chairs match with both the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship on the line, with the winner becoming the champions of champions. So TLC came around with the theme of Never Never by Korn, my favorite person now these days, and the title unification match was on. During the match, both used various weapons on each other, everything including ladders, chairs, tables, and nearing the end of the match, Orton retrieved a pair of handcuffs hidden under the floor and handcuffed Cena to the bottom rope before throwing the key away into the crowd. Cena tried to use a ladder and chair to try to break the handcuffs as Orton's set began to climb up. Cena eventually freed himself by unscrewing the turnbuckle and used the handcuffs to knock Orton off the ladder. Cena attempted to unhook the belts with one hand but was unable to. Orton grabbed the loose rope and used it to pull Cena off the ladder, sending him headfirst through a table. Orton then retrieved the belts, unifying the titles and becoming the WWE World Heavyweight Champion and making their rivalry 4 each. And on the December 30th episode of Raw, Cena was awarded a rematch for the title against Orton at the Royal Rumble, with the match stipulation of a traditional one-on-one singles match, except that it could be won by only pinfall or submission, because we all know Randy Orton tactics. On the January 13th episode of Raw, Orton suffered a loss to Kofi Kingston and he took his frustration out by attacking Cena's father, who was attending the event at the ringside. I guess old habit never change, right? Now Royal Rumble theme song was We Own It by 2 Chainz and Wiz Khalifa. You might know it from Fast and the Furious. Now in this match, both used their opponent's finisher moves. When they didn't work, Cena tried the STFU on Randy Orton, but suddenly the lights went out and the Wyatt family was on the ring apron, and taking the advantage of the distraction, Orton performed an RKO and retained his WWE World Heavyweight Championship, making it 4-5 for their rivalry score. Now later in the year, these two would have their last pay-per-view match in their career at Hell in a Cell 2014, where it was a number 1 contenders match for Brock Lesnar's WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Now this was the second time these two faced each other inside Hell in a Cell. Now Cena won this Hell in a Cell match by giving Randy Orton a super attitude adjustment through a table and making their rivalry score 5 each, and maybe ending their wrong time rivalry. Why I said maybe? Because never say never in WWE. Now you would ask me why Randy Orton is the greatest rival of John Cena all the time. Because they are tied in their pay-per-view matches. Randy Orton and John Cena are equally matched by their wits, their power, and their charisma. Randy Orton will always be the greatest rival of John Cena. Please let me know in the comments below who do you think was the greatest rival of John Cena, and let me know in the comments below what other videos like this would you like to see. Thank you for watching this, ladies and gentlemen. This took me a lot of time to make. And if you want to support the channel, please like, share and subscribe. And if you want to watch other wrestlers videos like this, please comment down below. And this is Impala 1967, and if anybody's watching, peace out.